We're now going to take a look at a precaution when dealing with certain operations on arrays. Let's say we have two arrays, A and B. Don't worry about the types. Let's just say we have two different arrays, and let's just assume they're the same type. We can use different operators on these arrays. So we can use the assignment operator, we can use relational operators, but we have to be really careful because the results may not be what we expect. So for example, let's say I have the assignment statement B equals A. You might think that this is going to take all the elements in A and copy into B. And that's not true. What's going to happen instead is we're going to copy the memory address of A and store that memory address into B. So this works just like with reference variables in general because they store memory addresses. So if I assign a reference variable to another, I'm going to take that memory address and store it into the other reference variable. So the same thing happens here. I'm not actually copying the elements of the array. Here I'm just saying have B point to array A. So if we want to correctly copy all the elements, we need to copy one element at a time. So for example, I can just have a for loop here and just go from 0 all the way to a.length, although technically we could do b.length as well because we're going to assume that both a and b have the same number of elements. And then I can just say for each element, take ai and store that into bi. Now let's take a look at this statement. So if a equals b. So once again, you might be thinking, we're just comparing if a and b have the same elements. But this isn't true. This is checking if the memory addresses are the same. So this is checking if a and b are pointing to the same array object, which most likely is not going to be true. So once again, if we want to check if both arrays have the same elements, we need to compare each element one at a time. So here is our definition of checking if A and B are equal to each other. So this is kind of our version of the equals method. So we actually have to do one check first. We have to make sure that A and B have the same length. If their lengths are different, then clearly they're different, so we just return false right away. Now if they do have the same length, then we can just take a look at each element of the array. So that's what we're doing over here. We compare each element, and if we find a set of elements in A and B where their respective indices do not have the same values, then that means we know the arrays are different and we can immediately return false. Now if we go through this entire array and we get to the end and all the values were the same at their respective elements, then we would just simply return true because, well, there are no differences. So they are the same elements, so they're the same arrays.